Whenever it loads. 3, 2, 1. Yes.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Watering Can, where we help those artists grow strong roots in business and bloom in their creative careers. We have a group here at Underground in Rainfeld, so I'm going to kind of speak to you guys right now. We just did some introductions. Tonight's part of the Artist Speaker Series, where we bring in professionals who will share their ideas and experience to help you with business and professional development. So the second Tuesday of every month, we come down here at the Underground in Rainfeld to host a session like this, and we end in May. For those people online, I encourage you to please turn up the volume of your device. Since we are in an open space, sometimes the microphones travel, so if you can't hear us very well, please just turn up the volume. And we also have some very exciting news. We are partnering with Art South Dakota. They are a new partner of ours. They have many different resources around the state of South Dakota. Follow their newsletters if you haven't on email. Together we're expanding opportunities to serve the arts community through engaging and accessible webinar. Art South Dakota's statewide leadership and commitment to supporting artists and art organizations make them a natural collaborator. We're thrilled to work together to bring valuable conversations, resources, and connections to creatives across the region. And some other thank yous that we have, grateful honor for having us use their underground event space. Jim and Sherry and the team at Art South Dakota. Sioux Falls Art Council for fiscal sponsorship. Donors both in kind and monetary. And the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation for past support. So, now on to our speaker. When our speaker decided he wanted to become the world's first certified anthropologist, people told him he was crazy. Mostly because the title did not exist. But that didn't stop him. In 1999, he founded the advertising agency AdWorks, which is built around one simple idea. Great advertising should make the cash register great. And for more than 30 years, he's been helping businesses do exactly that. He's here tonight to talk about marketing. His title is Marketing 101. Along the way, he's became an author of Love and Death and Pizza, which is a memoir and really good pizza recommendations of all sorts. He's a creative leader in our community, a past chair of Art South Dakota, and someone who's helped champion the project that brought the Arc of Dreams to life downtown here in Sioux Falls. He's also been very deeply involved with the Sculpture Walk, helping shape the vibrant art scene that we enjoy here today. So please help me welcome Jim Mathis.
Let me turn on my notes. All right. So first, on behalf of Art South Dakota, thanks for this partnership. We're really excited to be able to kind of help take the wonderful message that the Watering Can has and expand it out to the audience statewide. It really fits perfectly with Art South Dakota's mission, and partnering with an organization like what Claudia's built here is just fantastic. We're really excited to be a part of that. And those of you who've been following the schedule know I was not supposed to be here tonight. I'm a fill-in. We had an illness, and Claudia called this morning and said, would you be able to? Yeah, I'll always go talk to people. I'm okay with that. And she said, talk Marketing 101. Great, I can do that. So I started thinking about when I took Marketing 101 back in the 1900s, long time ago. There were kind of 5 big principles that we talked about in Marketing 101. And it was product, price, placement, promotion, and people. Okay? So we're going to talk about some of those. We'll spend a little bit more time on some than others. But we're going to talk about the 5 P's. And the first one is product. So product when we're talking about artists, is the art that you create, and often you as the artist is the product. You're really selling yourself as much as you are the art. And whether that is a miniature that you're painting, or a new book that you're publishing or something that you're crocheting, you're creating that product and you're putting it out there for the world to absorb and enjoy. And the challenge that I would put to you is think about what makes your art unique. So in marketing talk, we call that your unique selling proposition, your USP. So what is it that makes your art unique? One of you were talking about painting landscapes in oils, and mostly South Dakota landscapes. That's great. You're starting to create a niche there. It's not just about, oh, I'm a painter. I'm a painter who works in oils, and I paint landscapes here in South Dakota. Great. Now you start to create that unique selling proposition, and you start to make me curious about what your art looks like. And now, when I get a chance to see your art, you draw me in. So that's the challenge that I would give each of you, is think about what makes your art unique. Right? What is it that makes it stand out? So you've got a book coming out this next week?
This weekend.
Okay. And what's the book about?
It's about the Nephilim, which is thank you. It's a book about the Nephilim, which is a race of giants mentioned in the Bible and how they were destroyed in the Great Flood.
Okay, so that's kind of a nice niche. You've got a unique selling proposition there in writing a biblical story maybe perhaps that people don't know, right? So I think that's great that you're seeing what that unique selling proposition is for yourself. But that's the challenge that we need to all think about when we go out there to put our art out there. What is it that makes us different? Tell me that you are a cook who can walk on coals? Oh, yeah.
Walk and grill at the same time.
All right, let's learn more about that. You've got that's something that makes you different. And every artist, I don't care what it is you're creating, what kind of art you're creating, it's unique to you, right? I mean, we all put our own fingerprints all over our art. That's what we're doing. That's why we're creating art, right? Is to kind of take what's inside and get it out. So that makes it unique. So you just need to figure out, how do you tell the world what it is that makes your art unique and makes you stand out and makes people want to buy your art, right? So that's challenge number one. Number one is product, and that's the art that you're creating. The next thing, price. That's the second P. I think you've done other events talking about how to price your art. And I can't tell you how to price your art. But you can look at the marketplace, see what other people are charging for similar art. The one bit of advice I would give you when you start to think about how to price your art, you can give someone a discount to bring the price down. It's really hard to go the other direction. If you price your art at $500 and I see that painting and say, wow, I love it, I should buy this for my home. Only $500? I'd pay more. You probably can't say, oh, then give me $1,000.
No.
You kind of already set that price. But if you said, it's $1,000, and I said, oh, I would love to own this piece of art. This speaks to me. I can afford $750. Right? And you can negotiate with it. So don't undersell your art. That would be my one little bit of advice on pricing. Other than that, we could talk just for hours about price art. I'm not sure I can get you any closer to where you should be. Placement is the third P. Where can I find your art? So a lot of you talked about the art that you create. None of you told me, where can I find your art? Okay? Where your jewelry that you're creating, where can I find that? So it could be at a gallery like Rayfeld's upstairs. It could be, you know, your book could be available at the book co-op or Sandbros, or you might be selling it at a fun little gallery like Rosie G Presents or something like that. It may just be through your website or your social media, but let people know where your art is available, right? Where can I find it? And look for new places where you can get your art out there. Last night, Art South Dakota did what we call an Arts Happy Hour, where we just, you know, get together and talk a little bit about art and have a couple of beers. Last night we did it in Centerville. Beautiful little town. I have never been to Centerville. You been there? It's a cool little town. Got some great murals. Got a fun, funky little museum that when they got the grant to help build their museum, they wrote in the grant that one wall is going to be dedicated to local artists. How cool is that? I had no idea that existed. So this gives this community a place to celebrate their art. And it just, I thought that was a really fantastic kind of a little gem to find in small town South Dakota, a town of 800 people. And talking with the guy that runs the museum, Jared, he was telling us, you know, some of the things about the town. He said one of the things the town's known for is their marching band. I did not know about the marching band.
I know about zebra donuts.
Oh, Zebra Donuts is also, yeah. Okay, they're known for Zebra Donuts, and then the marching band's probably, you know, down the list a little bit. But apparently, this small town has just a really successful marching band, and like 60 or 70% of the high school students are involved with the marching band in some way. That's great. You know, when I think about life skill development, marching band is it, right? I mean, you have to show up. You have to show up on time. You have to learn teamwork, take direction, you know, multitask because you're playing an instrument and moving around all at the same time, right? What a great way to learn life skills. And here, this small town has this marching band that, you know, they say if they're going to a competition, they expect they're going to come like first or second. If they don't, they're really disappointed. Okay, this is something they're committed to. That's fantastic. So they've kind of found that really cool place for them to exist. And but then I think it's great that we can find lots of places to display our art, right? Whether that's in a small town gallery or a big gallery, or an artist that I got to know when he was living here in Sioux Falls, Ryan Holland, now has a great gallery up in St. Peter, Minnesota, I think. He's going to be showing at a gallery that I've been to 100 times in West Des Moines, Iowa, and it's like, that's a pretty cool deal, you know? So once you start to get your stuff out there, it can spread, you know? And it's great opportunities can be created that way. The fourth P is promotion, right? And that's probably what you thought we were coming here to talk about, right? It was marketing, let's talk about promotion. For a long time, promotion, I think for an artist was a really tough thing to do because how do I get my work out there? If I can't get it in a gallery, where do I find, how do I find a chance to show people my art, right? Social media now gives us that opportunity, whether that's creating just on your own social media feed, you know, you're posting your work on Instagram, or creating a business page on Facebook and Instagram, using TikTok to show your art. I got sucked down a rabbit hole by a cartoonist by the name of Harry Bliss. Does a lot of stuff for the New Yorker, but I found his social media feed, and next thing you know, half an hour had gone by and I'm looking at his stuff. And it's just like, you just get sucked in, right? So that's a great opportunity for us to get our art out there. So once you start to do it, I would recommend, a couple of things that I would recommend. Number one, share your work on your personal page because your friends are going to see it, right? Your friends, your family, great, that's great, you can get it out there. And then create a page for your business as well so that you can kind of double post things and get things out there that way. And then that's a much easier way to have a link back to your website where people can see more of your work. And if you're just doing your art on your art Instagram page, your art business Instagram page, I can scroll through that for a half an hour and just see your art and not be distracted by your rants about politics or you out drinking with your friends or doing whatever it was you're doing. I can just see your art, and I think that's a great way to get your message out there. If at some point you decide I want to broaden my audience, you can use those social media feeds then to do paid ads too. And dear Mark Zuckerberg has made it really easy for you to give him money. You can hit that little button that says boost post. And you do that all day long, and $3 or $4 will evaporate, and you'll get your message out there. My suggestion is don't do that. Instead, invest a little bit of time in learning, and you can do all this on YouTube. Learn how to use the business manager and the ad manager parts of Meta, where you can target your audience a little bit more tightly and control where you're spending that money. So it's not just shotgunning it out, but you can tell it pretty precisely who you want to reach. So that brings us to the fifth P, which is people. Who's your target audience? Who do you want to see your art? Who might be likely to buy your art or support your art if you're a musician or whatever it is that you do? How do you find that target audience? A couple weeks ago, I was at the indoor farmers market over here at Mosaic, and I'm wandering around with my little shopping bag, and the guy playing guitar starts playing Angel from Montgomery, one of my favorite songs of all time. I could not throw money in his guitar case fast enough because his target audience at that moment was this old dude who happened to be a fan of John Prine, right? Great, well that worked out perfectly for him. That's probably a little too narrow of a niche audience, old white guys who like John Prine at Saturday farmers markets, right? But you got to figure out who's that niche for you. And if it's trying to sell your crochet work or your oil paintings or whatever it might be, just find that audience and start to define it. One of the easiest way to do that is start looking at people who bought your art in the past, right? So who's interacted with your art? Who's liking your things on your social media feed beyond your friends? You find those people. Who here knows Cameron Stallheim? He's a local artist, fantastic guy. He had some actor, I don't remember the guy's name, who found his art because of one of his mermaid pieces, who liked his stuff and started sharing it. Cool. This ends up getting him connected to a place in, I think it's Portland, where he's going to do a residency. You just don't know who that target audience will be, but he started to figure out that there are people out there who like his kind of fantasy things with the merman and the mermaids and these creatures that he's created. So he's finding that niche that's spreading his art around the country. And I think that's something we've all got to kind of do is look at how do we find that target audience for our work, right? What's the thing that's going to latch on and have the right person share our work, and all of a sudden our following goes from 50 people in South Dakota to 500,000 people, right? It can happen. It's there. You just got to find that right target audience and start to hit them. So that's my 5 Ps. We've got our product, which is the work that we're creating, our art, and in some cases ourselves. Our price, what we're asking for that art. Placement, where can I find your art? How can I experience your art? Promotion, how are we telling the world that we're creating art? What are we doing to get it out there? And then people, who's our target audience? And how do we define who that target audience is? So those are the 5 challenges that we're all trying to really address as we're thinking about how do we market ourselves as artists. How do I define my product? How do I set a price for my product? How do I help promote my product? Where can I put my product? Who's that target audience? And I really think if you can figure out the first 2, that definition of my product, that unique selling proposition, and who my target audience is, the other 3 come pretty easily. Those are the 2 that you got to focus on. So with that, I'm going to pause for a minute to take questions. And we have one in the back. Oh, hang on, we have to run back with the microphone.
That was my paper.
Only because I remember your presentation from some years ago.
Yeah.
Do you have a preferred platform that artists should use, or should they?
So I think that varies with what kind of art that you're doing. For visual artists, Instagram was built for visual artists, right? I mean, it's a visual platform. It works great for that. If you're a performer, whether it's whatever kind of performance art you do, I think YouTube is great. TikTok is phenomenal for those kinds of things. And really, Instagram Reels now, most of your Instagram feed these days is filled up with Reels. So if you can create videos, even if it's a video about how you crochet something, that's a great way to get that message out there in a visual medium. So again, it really kind of varies with what kind of art you're doing, but those are the big ones that I lean on. So, and the Harry Bliss I was talking about earlier, I found on Threads.
Do you think that the targeted people group also determines which platform you should use?
Totally. So the question is, does the target audience, does that define the platform? Absolutely. If you look at the different social medias and the usage of them, you're going to find that younger, hipper people are on TikTok and Instagram. Old farts like me are on Facebook, and angry people are on Twitter or X now. I don't see anything other than anger on Twitter. But yeah, definitely your audience, I think, is defined by, or your medium is defined by the audience. Anybody else? Oh, here we go.
I'm going to ask the classic question. People probably know what it is. So, of course, AI, not necessarily is it going to replace us, but how is that going to almost say like I'm the real deal.
So how do you, so there's kind of two questions there. I'm going to take this and correct me if I'm wrong, but first question is, how can I use AI to help promote myself, perhaps? And the Meta sale or advertising platform actually will help you use AI to create relevant ads for your work. I will caution you, check what it suggests, because it doesn't always suggest the truth or suggest the right things for you. But, Meta will tell you, you want to do 10 versions of this ad. Don't just put one version out there. And it'll help you write those 10 versions. That's great. Those 10 versions will reach different people in different ways. But, yeah, you do have to check what it says, because, you might tell it, I'm creating oil landscapes in South Dakota, and the AI might take that and say, I'm creating landscapes of oil fields or something, So you got to be a little bit careful with that. How do you separate yourself from AI? I think that's where, if you can use Reels to show you working on your piece of art, AI can't show me how it created it. All it can do is take your work and reuse it. But if you're showing me your hands crocheting something, or your hands sculpting something, or painting, that can't be replicated by AI. At least not yet. We hope it never is.
Hello. This is going back to the Instagram, Facebook kind of question. To save time, I'm actually not on social media a lot. I have not sold a lot to people through social media. I mean, flat out. It's mostly people that actually come to my shows and see the work in person. So I've actually kind of tapered down how much time I spend on social media. It's very, very little now. But what I found to save time is that I will double post. If I go through Instagram, I can add a song there, which is kind of fun and vibey, like a jazz song with a picture from my artist reception or something, and then I'll just have it double post to Facebook, but then it takes off the music when it goes to the second platform. So my question to you is this: now that I realize I actually need to consider my audience, my folks on Facebook, I have a lot more of them there, like 1,000 more, are more likely to be purchasers than my Instagram, but I'm starting from Instagram. I'm actually not sure that I could start from Facebook with the music and double post to Instagram. I don't know if it works that way. Do you know?
I believe it
Anyone
lets
know?
you.
I don't believe, I think if you post it on Facebook first, it doesn't let you add it'll let you add music for Facebook, but it won't let you add music on Insta.
Right, but it will
So-
double post though if I post
It will-
on, I can get it to
it will
double post on
double post.
Insta. So I've been doing it backwards. I
Yeah.
should really start with Facebook, so that's where my coolest, funnest things with the music, and then just let it pop the picture into Instagram for the
The other
50 people
thing-
that I have connected with there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what I should
Same,
do?
same.
Ooh, this is
What
good.
you might do is if you're going to post, 2 or 3 times a week,
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe 2 times, just do Facebook, because that's more hitting your target audience and
Right.
hitting the people who are going to buy, and then the 3rd time, do both.
Okay.
You
Oh,
don't-
that's
you
good.
wouldn't have to do all
I
of them
have to
all
do
the time.
all of them.
But if you're doing the cross-posting, Meta will let you now post to Facebook, Insta, and Threads all at once.
Wow, okay. And there's one more quick question. So there's the music aspect and the double posting. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my train of thought here. Ooh, what was it? Oh no, I lost it. Okay, you'll have to come back to me.
Okay.
But it's something to do with social media, but I'll
Okay.
think.
We'll come back.
Rats.
So, as I listen to all of this, I keep thinking about how kind of random my selection of what I do is. Like, first I'll do something in this genre, and then I'll do something more decorative and lower priced, and then I'll do something that I think maybe could be gallery worthy. How important is it to have one look for one audience, or like, is it more valuable to use your time to just advertise different ways, or I'm trying to like figure out how to best use my time, I guess.
That might come down to the placement question, you know? If you're doing things that are, as you call it, gallery worthy, right? You take that stuff and you try and get it into a gallery, you know, like Rayfeld's or something. But if you've got smaller, less expensive stuff, what's the event called that the pavilion does a couple of times?
Art Collective.
Yeah, the Art Collective. The Art Collective might be, Anna, you should be doing this. The Art Collective is a great place where I see people buying a lot of lower price pieces, you know, small pieces, or, you know, like the thing that the Foundry does.
Bronze Age.
Bronze Age Foundry, yeah, they, you know, their kinds of deals, perfect for those small kind of, I can buy it for under $100 kind of thing, you know.
They just opened up their art shows this summer too.
To get in.
For the Bronze Age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's a good-
Bronze
I
Age, they
forgot
do
about
that, it's a really cool show, and now that they've moved, it's
Yeah.
right next to the Levitt.
They
and-
tack it on with the music and the
yeah,
kids shows.
It's
And
really pretty cool.
I think it's,
Look under Bronze Age art.
Okay,
Yeah.
she remembered her
You can
other
ask her.
piece.
woo!
Bronze Age foundry.
So I keep hearing about how if you put your website within your post, it's like, it's getting demoted as far as how many people see it. And so I was trying to think like how to get around that. Perhaps could you like make the post and then you be the first to comment on your own? Is that it?
100%. Especially on Facebook, that's a great way to do it. is
Okay.
You
Yep.
put the post out there, and then you comment, and you can even say in your comment that, you know, link below.
Oh, you can? And they're not catching that yet?
Yet. Not that yet.
Yet.
But on Instagram hates having
Yeah.
links put in there. So just put the link in your bio, and
Okay.
don't be shy about saying link in bio.
Link in the bio. Excellent. Thank you.
But that is a great thing to bring up. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad I remembered.
Gentleman in the back.
Well, I just wanted to comment on this. I've talked about, like, that's always a big concern with people with social media. And it's something we've talked about for years with my writers group. There's a lot of famous authors, you'd be shocked, that have no social media presence. Or if they do, it's very limited. And I'm just talking to so many writers over the years. It shouldn't be a focal point if you're not comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
So as a writer, I found it's about know your market. So let's take a look at it this way. Well, you're not going to be, if you're not setting yourself up to be the Kevin Costner of art or whatever, the Michelangelo of art, maybe putting all that time and effort into social media might not be worth it for you personally.
Absolutely, and I think that comes back to the idea of placement. Where are you going to put your art?
So
And if you're a writer, you know, your efforts in making sure that, you know, bookshop.org and your local bookshops and some of these other places have.
right, well, the reality, I think, for most writers and probably for artists too, is, for me, I've sold a lot of copies of my book, not through online. And I do have an online presence, but it is directly through shaking hands and meeting people.
Yep.
And but you know, it depends. Like I have a friend who's an artist, and he is very involved in social media. He does well at it, but that's not right for every artist. So I always caution, just go with what you're comfortable with, and don't think you need to be this big social media presence. I've been told many times, well, you need a niche on. No, you don't. You don't need to
Yep.
make flash videos.
And if you know what your niche is, and your niche is finding people and meeting them face to face and selling them your book,
I think that's can be
That-
a better way. sometimes.
that rocks. That is 100% the way for you to go. You know, I mean,
But you
I see Stephen
gotta
King
build a platform.
on social media a lot. I'm not buying his books because of it. You know, I follow him because he's very anti-Trump, but, you know, that's okay. You know, that it's not every medium is right for everybody.
Yeah. And I was gonna further that because I've been doing this a long time, writing, you know, there's the joke in our writing community that you could have, I don't know, some famous person share your book online. Great, they shared your book online, but that person's audience might not meet the expectations of your product, so you might not sell something. I've had a few famous people online share my book, not one copy sold,
Yeah.
because they were the wrong audience. So, you know,
Yeah. And, you know, there are great ways, you know, like through the South Dakota Humanities Council to kind of reach out to people who just are literature nerds, you know, they love to read, and that's great. Go to those kinds of things, wherever you can find your people. And again, I think that comes back to finding where's the right place to sell my art. And TikTok's not going to be for you, and that's okay.
I tried it, it is not.
And it doesn't have to be for everybody, you know, it's just find what works for you and
Oh, that reminds
find
me,
your audience.
one gal I knew, she had a few million followers. She was a writer just like me, and she said, now she was very popular online, and you know, she wanted to go to the traditional route. She can get one agent to pick up her book, not one. Because, you know, her niche online was helping writers. In fact, she helped every agent across the board because they all ran pitch parties for the agents through her Twitter account. This was a long time ago. Through her Twitter account, and her website traffic was none. I think I was one of the few people that contacted her on there. You have to understand, a couple million followers, and it's, yeah, it boils down. You gotta like know your audience and what they want, and but even the agents just, they said, we're using you for this, and we don't care what you do over here.
Right.
So it broke her heart. She ended her online presence and then reorganized it for her book. And then, you know, not selling a lot of copies, but at least she's doing what she loves.
And I had a kind of sort of question that kind of went along with that. Before he asked his, I was going to ask you, you do a lot of marketing for businesses, right? So art businesses are a little different than the average type of business that you think about, you know, mechanics to lawyer office to et cetera. So when you're thinking about a business, what other things besides social media? Because like Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
he likes to figure out ways to make money on there, obviously. And we're all kind of at the mercy of the algorithm, and it changes. Do we put the website in the caption or in the first comment, right? When do we do what? Oh, the algorithm's changed now. So definitely social media is important, but is there other things that we can do to make sure, like having a website, is that super important as an artist? Should we have business cards? Should we try to get out in group settings, or should we try to focus more on trying to have other people with other platforms or other businesses hold our art there, something like that? Like what would you say is like a great thing for an artist to just make sure they're set up for success, and then they can figure out what areas they like to actually advertise in?
The one thing you've got to do is whatever's right for you. And it's not going to be right for everybody. You know, I publicized my book in South Dakota Magazine. I sold a couple of copies that way. I put it on the shelf at Zambros and the Co-op and Alcove before it closed. Sold a bunch that way. I sold some online. I write for Etc. magazine, so Angela's run some ads for me in there. I've sold some books through that. Would I run radio to sell my art? Probably not as a writer or a visual artist, but as a musician, that might be the place to get yourself out there. As a filmmaker, you might want to consider streaming video or ads on YouTube or something like that to get your message out there. But you got to find the right place to sell your product, and that's going to be different for everybody.
What's something that you're going to continue for your book?
Telling all my friends about it and hoping that they buy it, and making sure that there's always copies in the backseat of my car, because one time I didn't have one in the backseat of my car, and I had like 3 people go, "Oh, I'll buy it." So go to Zambros. Other questions? Oh, Laurel's got a question.
All right, so what happens when you set yourself up and you feel like you've got the marketing thing and you kind of evolve? So I've been known as the Nostalgic Chef for 5 years, sold my cookbook through there. Then I started painting, and I was painting recipes and bringing people's old recipes alive. So the Nostalgic Chef still tied into it. But now my garden scenes have evolved into different styles of garden scenes and doing birdhouses and, garden art as those little small add-on items. Do I change my name because now it's more about garden life and not so much, or
It's still
is it hard
It's still
to?
food adjacent, right? I would say don't give up the audience that you've already got.
Yeah.
Look for that as an opportunity to expand on that audience.
Yeah.
But anybody who's ever sold anything will always say your best potential customer is your existing customer. It takes a whole lot less effort to sell me a second piece than it did to sell me the first. So you've got a niche audience there. Let's just keep growing that and stick with what you're doing, and let that audience know that if you love this, you're also going to like that.
I'll say, and that's part of your history,
Yeah.
not necessarily your future.
Right?
So
Yeah,
like
that's
living back, that's where you got your start, cooking meals, and like people know you from that. So like it's such a, it would make me cry a little bit if you changed it. But I think you should do what's good for you, but I think about that, I'm like, man, that really like encapsulates like another part of your life too. And that
Oh, thank you for saying that, because it's very hard sometimes when I go to shows and people go at my table and they're just like, why are you the Nostalgic Chef when you meet new people, so you kind of go through your thing.
Got to reel
And
them
I
in
was
and tell
wondering
them.
if I needed to change, but then it was just like, oh my God, you don't think that people that started following me because of the blogs and the cooking parts, which I intermingle all of it, even on my website, there's my recipes on there.
Yeah.
So if it's too much for them, just let them go.
Yeah, but
Don't
Nostalgic
worry
Chef,
about reinventing
I
yourself.
first met you when you were cooking right upstairs.
Yeah.
So that's nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
So don't give it up. Lean into it.
Laura,
I
you know
think
how long
that's-
it took me to learn your name? The Nostalgic Chef was your name. I'm not learning a new name.
All right.
If I can't change mine because I'm getting married, you can't change yours because of that.
We're digging in for you.
Because, people tend to think, how do I blow up and become big? And they forget how much they have locally, or how
This community
important
is
local
huge.
atmosphere is. So if you're doing locally, keep that, because I
can take
You
it
know,
over.
that you can actually expand on.
Yeah.
You know, I might never expand into Minnesota. Maybe. But I focus here and building what I have here locally and knowing that.
Well, that saves me a lot of work.
All right, give it up for the nostalgic chef.
Reinstated.
For the longest time, and it's like, oh, do I change it or not? So, and as long as I'm here, one more question too about placement. Can you place yourself too much? You know, because you're saying I'm
yeah.
posting as the nostalgic chef, I'm posting as myself. You know, you're on all these different things. If you're in too many galleries, does it bleed you out a little bit, or?
You sold out.
So, a couple of local artists that I'll talk about that do different versions of that. Jennifer White.
Yeah.
Jay White, love her work. She posts all the time.
Yep.
She's always putting up new work. It's like, I see that she's got new work and I wonder how she paint that quickly. But she's just out there all the time doing that. It makes me go, geez, I want to buy that. I've got 5 of her pieces that I don't have wall space for right now, right? So that's okay. And then too many places. Have you been to a medical facility in Sioux Falls where you have not seen a Paul Schiller on the wall?
Yeah.
You know, they're out there. You know, you can't be too many places. You know, Picasso famously said he kept track of how many pieces he created.
It's just
It was
ridiculous.
Well over 1 million by the time he died. Oh, yeah, no. Knock yourself out. If you get to that point, your friends will let you know. But I don't think they're going to get there.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Anything else you'd like to say, Jim?
Oh, Anna does have a question.
Oh?
Well, while we're walking the microphone back, I just want to say thank you all for coming to hear me talk tonight, and thanks to Claudia for calling me and thinking of me as a last-minute fill-in. Happy to help anytime I can. So,
What's the name of your book and where can we find it?
it is called Love and Death and Pizza, and it's available locally at Zambros, the Book Co-op, and Rose and Eugene Presents. Or if you follow me outside, I guess. Or Amazon, you know, you can do it that way too.
He gets more of a cut when you do it right.
All right, can we give Jim a round of applause? Thank you everybody who joined live on Facebook and who's watching the video after the fact. Next month, on April 14th, we have a talk about how you can have a relationship with a gallery. We're gonna have Mel Cotton, who owns Rose and Eugene Presents, and Lindsay McCann, owner of Rainbow Modern. We'll see you next time.
Let's talk about the Arts Council.
Yes.
Do you want that on live still?
Do you want that on live?
Finish it?
No, because they're,
All right.
Just kidding, we're back.
Sorry.
So we are, like I said, we're excited for our new partnership with Art South Dakota. They are hosting a art conference, South Dakota Art Conference, over in Rapid City, and that's on April 24th and 25th. So you can go out there in person. There will be some things online, I think, but you'll get a lot out of it in person. There'll be speakers and resources. Anything else that you'd like to say about that?
If you go to artsouthdakota.org, you can see all the information, sign up, get all the details on it. And it's going to be a great conference. The day one is really talking about arts and healthcare, and then day two is kind of just good general sessions for artists and art lovers alike.
Perfect. And it's at the Alex Johnson Hotel in Rapid City. So check out that. Okay, now really goodbye.